Well, the areas of law that are of greatest interest to me are in the area of international trade law, corporate law, and property law. These are the areas in which I've been teaching for most of my teaching career. But of those three, I think international trade is the one that I feel most passionate about. It's something that I was drawn to as a graduate student. At the time, trade law was not as prominent a field as it is today. And of course, we see that trade law is touching our lives in many different ways and very much driving the process of globalization around the world, a process that is creating a lot of tensions and stress in the world, as we see in the recent US election. And so I think it's important for our students to have a grounding in trade law, to understand the significance of it, how it operates, so that they can have an informed opinion on this process of trade law and the extent to which it's informing the forces of globalization around the world. One of the things that I most enjoy teaching students, going back to trade law, is why do nations enter into trade treaties, and why do nations trade? And does it make sense? Is it something that is valuable? Is it something that generates good for society, or is it something that generates ill for society? And we see that this remains a very hot topic in domestic discussions here in Canada and in discussions around the world. And so I find that for many students, they may not know a lot about trade law and what drives trade and what drives trade internationally. So that can be tremendously fun and I think eye-opening discussion for our students as they explore the extent to which trade law is influencing the forces of globalization around the world. Well, one of the areas of research that I've been working on over the last number of years is the TRIPS agreement, trade-related aspects of intellectual property. This is an important agreement at the World Trade Organization that governs intellectual property, and it also has implications for access to medications around the world. So in my research, I've been looking at the extent to which the TRIPS agreement either facilitates or may hinder access to medications, particularly in the developing world. It's been a really hot topic at the World Trade Organization. Canada has been very much a leader in those discussions. And so I've published a number of articles on this topic, and I think it remains one of great interest both in Canada and around the world. Yeah, I suppose that's a great question. How does one's research impact people's lives? That is, why does it matter? The so what question, which I often ask my colleagues. And in my regard, in my case, I think some of the work that I'm doing in relation to the TRIPS agreement is one that has great impact for people, particularly in the developing world. That is, if they're able to access life-saving medications, and whether or not we're developing international trade regimes and IP regimes that might hinder their access to these medications. So I think in that regard, it's a research that very much touches people's lives, and it's something that I care very much about.